Hi, I'm Congressman Frank Pallone. I'm pleased to join my Armenian American friends in the 105th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide. Of course, we can't be together as we often are at the Times Square commemoration or at the annual commemoration that the Armenia Caucus has in Washington, but we still need to be strong and together in speaking out against the genocide. Of course, I'm happy that so many Armenian Americans and their organizations worked hard in the last session of Congress to pass a resolution both in the House and the Senate to commemorate the genocide. It was a long time coming, and many of us worked many years to achieve that, and so that was a major success. At the same time, I do want to mention that we've had a major event take place in the last few years in the Armenian Republic with the Velvet Revolution and the consequences of that with a new government. The new government has really reached out not only to the United States and to the administration, but also to members of Congress, particularly their equivalent of the Armenia Caucus. Armenia Caucus members, including myself, have been to Armenia since the Velvet Revolution, and the members of the Armenian Parliament, who are part of their U.S. Friendship Caucus, have been here, and we've had a lot more closer ties with the new Parliament. And as a result of that, a lot has happened. For example, in Armenia, the Parliament has passed a lot of initiatives that create more transparency and open government, improvements in the judicial system. I could go on. At the same time, we are trying with the Armenia Caucus here in the United States to get a larger aid package to Armenia. One of the things that happened since the coronavirus epidemic is that the United States recently sent a little over $1 million in assistance to Armenia just to fight the pandemic. We're trying to get an appropriations next year that would increase U.S. appropriations to $100 million, working with the Armenian organizations to achieve that. And we're also trying to get a recognition resolution passed, which I've introduced, that points to the Velvet Revolution and the movement of Armenia more towards democracy, more towards a market economy, and even better relationships with the United States. I also want to point out that one thing that is unfortunate is that the Turkish government has been taking advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic to crack down even more so on social media and media outlets within Turkey, using it as an excuse to do that, and really reducing the free press and the free media in Turkey. They've also taken the opportunity to free prisoners from their jails, of which there's hundreds of thousands, but they haven't freed the political prisoners who opposed the Erdogan regime because of its dictatorial policies. So what's happening in Armenia is very much the opposite of what's happening in Turkey. Armenia moves more and more towards democracy and a market economy. Turkey does the opposite. The other thing I wanted to mention too is that Artsakh recently had a very successful presidential election, very transparent. Those who have monitored it said that it was very much like what you'd want to see in a democracy. Once again, Artsakh has proven the fact that it is a true democracy and should be recognized by the United States and all countries of the world as a truly democratic republic and a sovereign nation. So we have a lot of work to do together with the Armenia Caucus and your representatives in Congress that are part of the Armenia Caucus. But I think that, once again, it was important, as we're doing today, and I know many of you will over the next few days or weeks, to once again call attention to the horrible genocide that took place 105 years ago, and keep in our minds and thoughts the fact that we don't want this to ever happen again, not only to Armenians, but to any group of people or any particular country or ethnicity. And thank you again for joining me.